Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Chamber Annual General Meeting. I'm sure we'll still get a few more popping up, but we are going to start with a short video. So, Leslie, can I ask you to, as they would have said in the 80s, run VT?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Chamber members and guests. My name is Ian Morgan and I am Chair of the Board of Directors for the East Midlands Chamber. This annual general meeting of the East Midlands Chamber is the second to be held virtually, which, as everyone will appreciate, is necessary due to government restrictions on gatherings in order to limit the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Can I just ask everyone to make sure that their microphones are mute? Thank you. Firstly, there are a number of formal matters I need to take care of, for which your patience and support, as ever, is greatly appreciated. Before I commence the formal proceedings, I should confirm that the meeting is quorate. With regard to voting, you would normally be asked to vote with a show of hands at appropriate points during the meeting. However, proxy votes sent in by members prior to the meeting have been counted and recorded and will provide the official voting results on each of the resolutions. Should anyone wish to ask a question during the meeting, I should be grateful if they would use the chat facility in Teams, which has been monitored throughout the meeting. So, I should now like to commence the formal proceedings and start by receiving apologies for absence. These have been received in advance and will be published with the minutes in due course. Item 2 is to approve the minutes of the last AGM and matters arising. Can I ask for the approval of the minutes from the last annual general meeting held on the 11th of December 2020? The proxy votes were a majority in favour. I can declare these minutes approved. Proxy votes were 55 for, 0 against, and there were 19 abstentions. So I should now like to hand over to my colleague Stuart Dawkins, who is Chair of the Risk and Audit Committee, for agenda item 3, which is the approval of the financial accounts. Stuart.
Thank you, Ian. And just repeat, if anyone's got any questions on the accounts, do please put them in the chat. Just responding to the chat, no David Williams, I'm not going for an interview. I put my posh jacket on to make an effort. As you've raised it, I'm actually wearing a pair of nice warm Crickhopper trousers. I didn't get fully dressed. I thought that's important to put on the record. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us today. As ever, as Chair of the Chamber's Risk and Audit Committee, I'll just say a few words about the Chamber's financial performance in 2021. At company level, the Chamber made a modest profit before tax of £23,000. This is a reasonable proxy for the organisation's trading performance for the year and represents a healthy and on-target achievement. As will be familiar to those of you who have heard me speak at the last few Chamber AGMs, the accounting treatment of the Chamber's shareholding in the EMB Group adds some complexity to the consolidated financial accounts. You'll remember, I'm sure, that last year the Chamber owned 40% of EMB, and after accounting for the impact of EMB's excellent results that year, the Chamber's consolidated profit before tax was increased to £135,000, which is the figure you'll see in the shortened accounts which were circulated. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed a post-balance sheet item in the annual accounts. This reports the sale of a significant part of EMB Group's business, in essence, the quality assurance components and those parts which were not connected to government, ERDF and similar public sector or quasi-public sector contracts. This successful transaction has had the effect of unwinding the share-based incentive schemes which were in place for EMB's senior team, and this in turn has resulted in East Midlands Chamber now owning 2/3 of the EMB Group, with the remaining third owned by Northamptonshire Chamber of Commerce. Our now majority shareholding means that from 5th of October 2021, the EMB Group will be treated as a subsidiary of the East Midlands Chamber for accounting purposes. In addition, the transaction also provided a significant cash sum to EMB, some of which has been passed to the Chamber through a special dividend. And what are the odds of my phone ringing at the point I am speaking? Apologies if you can hear it. I'm not going to fish it out of my pocket because that would involve me standing up and you'd see the trousers I'm wearing. It'll stop in a minute. The directors of the Chamber are pleased with the nature and outcome of the sale of part of the EMB Group and would like to thank the senior team at EMB for their hard work over many years that led to it. All in all, the Chamber ended the year in a very strong financial position, and as Scott will touch on later, a discussion of how best to use the strong cash base in a transformative and sustainable investment strategy is part of the board's current strategic conversations. I hope that clarifies the group's accounts, and I'm not seeing any questions in chat, so I'm assuming there are no questions, which is great. Formally, and following Ian's lead, I can declare that the proxy votes received were a majority in favour of accepting those accounts, 54 for, 0 against, 20 abstains. I think that completes my task as reporting on the account, so I'll hand back to Ian. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stuart. And for the record, can I let the record show that you have applied the sartorial code absolutely perfectly, above the waist at least. Item 4 is the election of auditors. Can I please ask that the board's recommendation to appoint Mazars as auditors for 2021-22 be approved and that the directors be authorised to fix their remuneration. The proxy votes were a majority in favour, and I can declare Mazars appointed as auditors. The proxy votes for the record were 58 for, 0 against, and 16 abstentions. Item 5 is election of directors to the board. I'm pleased to announce that the following directors who were co-opted to the board recently are now seeking election to the board. Dr Peter Dewhurst. Pete began his career while studying for his master's degree when he launched his own import, wholesale and retail business with outlets in Manchester and London. He subsequently moved into the higher education sector, taking on senior management roles first at the University of Wolverhampton and then in 2007 at the University of Derby's Buxton campus, first as Assistant Dean, then in 2008 as Dean, and in 2012 as Strategic Director with responsibility for both the higher education curriculum and commercial offer at the Buxton campus. In October 2018, Pete took on his current role as the university's commercial director with responsibility for identifying and taking to market a compelling product offer comprising the physical resources and assets of the university, together with a range of associated services. As part of his role, he's been tasked with overseeing the delivery of an outstanding product and service offer, with the intention of enhancing the university's reputation as a client and a business-orientated organisation. Pete's responsibilities extend to driving the university's enterprise agenda, and to this end, he liaises closely with colleagues across the university and with many external stakeholders. The proxy votes are 567 for Pete's appointment, 1 against, and there were 16 abstentions. Second is David Williams. David Williams is the chairman of Geldards LLP and has been with the firm since 1989. David was pivotal to the firm's expansion and success in England and in the 1990s before taking on the role of chairman. David's role is often to coordinate the supply of services to clients. Because of his background outside of law, he is well placed to understand a client's needs and to ensure that their services are organised to meet them. He has a reputation for cutting through to the issues. David continues to play a key role in both leading and participating in the day-to-day operations of some of the key departments within the firm, including the private client, property and sector teams. He remains the lead partner for a number of the firm's top clients, including Pendragon plc and Western Power Distribution. As part of his commitment to the success of the East Midlands region, he holds a number of non-executive and trustee positions. He is Deputy Lieutenant for the County of Derbyshire, past Chairman of the Derby-Nottingham Metro Growth Board, Deputy Chair of D2N2 LEP, a Director of Nottingham Regeneration Limited, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Arkwright Society, a former Director of Derby County Football Club, and he became Deputy Chairman of the Employment Policy Committee at Nottingham Trent University in August 2019, where he is on the Board of Governors. Internationally, David has represented the region at MIPIM, the world's leading property event, and has recently participated in trade delegations from the East Midlands to China to promote the region at a critical juncture for Britain's future trading position. Proxy votes received are 55 for David's appointment, 1 against, and there were 18 abstentions. Dr. Cham Kang. Cham started his career in research and development as a research chemist and then progressed into sales and marketing on a global level before setting up Qinesis, a business growth company, in 2004. A business and marketing consultant coach for the STEM sectors such as chemicals, healthcare, biotech, pharma and cosmetics with global multinationals and SMEs, Cham's experience is in developing innovation and new markets, including strategy, innovation commercialization, organizational restructuring, operations optimization, change management, marketing, sales and business planning, and execution. Cham is passionate about helping clients with innovation pipeline, commercializing innovation, strategy, team building, successful change management, intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship, QI leading for business, highly successful teams and rapid business growth. Proxy votes received are 458, 1 against, and 15 abstentions. And finally, Mrs. Dawn Whitemore. Dawn has over 25 years' experience operating at a senior level in further education, higher education and private sector organisations. She has a wealth of experience in building and driving high-performing teams to deliver the best outcomes for learners, staff and partners. Established in 2020, SMB Group is formed of two merged colleges, Stevenson College and Brooksby Melton College. Dawn is commercially focused, and her career has seen her working and innovating with a large range of companies, developing strong partnerships and bespoke training that meets the needs of their business. During her time as principal and CEO at New College Nottingham, she led the college to achieve a good Ofsted rating while delivering a significant financial turnaround. Proxy votes received are 4 of 55, against 1, and there were 18 abstentions. So the proxy votes were a majority in favour, and I can declare that these board members are duly elected. Item 6 is re-election of directors to the board, and I'm pleased to announce that Chamber Board Directors John Robinson and Mark Deakin, who are retiring by rotation this year, have been re-elected unopposed to the board. John Robinson, proxy votes are 53 for, 1 against, and abstain 20. And for Mark Deakin, there were 56 votes for, 1 against, and 17 abstentions. So the proxy votes were a majority in favour, and I can declare these board members re-elected. That completes the ordinary resolutions, so we can now move on to item 7, which is the special resolution. And this concerns the Articles of Association. Under this resolution, the company is proposing to adopt new Articles of Association in substitution for the existing Articles of Association. The principal changes introduced by the new Articles of Association are summarised in the appendix to the notice of this meeting and are in relation to Article 9. Members are asked to agree that the draft Articles of Association produced to the meeting and for the purposes of identification initialed by the Chair be adopted as the Articles of Association of the company in substitution for and to the exclusion of the company's existing Articles of Association. Proxy votes were a majority in favour, 56 for, 0 against, and 18 abstentions. And I can declare that the resolution is carried. We move now on to additional items. Item 8 is any other business, and I can confirm that no items of any other business have been notified in advance to the company that may be transacted at an AGM in accordance with the Companies Act 2006. Now I can move to agenda item 9, and it gives me great pleasure to hand over to our President, Eileen Richards, for the outgoing President's report. Over to you, Eileen.
Thank you so much, Ian. Thank you for that and for the introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So today marks the end of my term as your president. So many people have actually asked me how I feel, and the answer to that is actually I do feel quite sad. Whilst it'd be lovely we would all be there face to face today, maybe for the tears it's good that we are online. However, I have thoroughly enjoyed my year and feel very honoured for the experience that I've had. It's certainly up there with one of the best jobs that I have had, and I'd like to thank my team at ER Recruitment for all the support that they've given to me to make things like this possible. Dawn Edwards, past president, observed here 12 months ago that it had been quite a strange year. Well, that continued into the early months of my presidential term, and as the country began to gauge the impact of the vaccine rollout. It meant that the Chamber activity has had to be very responsive and agile throughout the year, at times virtual and sometimes at times face-to-face. Often this has been at short notice, and I'm in absolute full admiration for the way our team and members have navigated their course. Unfortunately, it does seem they must continue to do so as we head into 2022 with new restrictions emerging and talk of other variants to come. However, this should not prevent us from looking forward with confidence and back with satisfaction as we consider the work that we have all done in 2021. The Chamber has been at the heart of the region's public affairs, lobbying, promoting and building coalitions for regional development throughout the year. We see around us many areas thriving with enhanced investment because of their single political structures. The East Midlands needs to do more to come together to replicate something similar. While it is not, in my view, the private sector's role to tell the public sector how to organise itself, more needs to be done to ensure our region gets the level of investment that it truly does deserve. Remember though, we make more stuff here in the East Midlands than anywhere else in the UK. And we need the world-class infrastructure to get their goods and services across the country and the world efficiently and of course cost effectively. The HS2 outcome was disappointing, but Scott and the team continue to keep a close eye on what can be gained as a consequence of that decision. On a brighter note, the Chamber's role supporting the coalition of politics, business and media, which gained Freeport status for the East Midlands Airport, was a demonstration of our value in building a consensus, which, let's face it, benefits everyone in our region. I set 3 priority objectives at the start of my presidential term: member support, future leaders, known as Generation Next, and the economic recovery. Members have come to us in huge volumes in 2021. Almost 2/3 of members have accessed at least one service. More than 280 queries each week are being handled by our frontline information team. Meanwhile, more than 200 new members have joined the over 4,000 members that we already had. Generation Next. So this now has its own shadow board with a chair that also attends our Chamber board meetings. Generation Next staged its first awards, and this event was online and it was streamed through YouTube actually. This took the Chamber and what we do to a whole new audience and in a new way. So next year, obviously restrictions withstanding, I know that the intent is to deliver this on a much grander scale. Our strategy to help shape regional economic recovery is recording multiple positive outcomes. Some of you will know, but the Kickstart contract is worth 25 million and has secured more than 1,500 placements already. 1.2 million of digital grants have been processed. Meanwhile, 100 million contracts were made through our print, online and broadcast media coverage over the past 12 months. I'm sure you'll agree with me, there's been a lot going on. However, the wonderful awards encapsulate the best of all that our people and our members do. Online and offline events have been staged as Lindsey Hardy and our incredible events team have responded quite heroically to an uncertain and shifting environment. We received 470 applications for the awards this year, and we did everything we could do to ensure those people were recognised for all their efforts. I just want to say again, congratulations to all of the finalists and winners across our wonderful region. Meanwhile, as the owner of a recruitment firm, I was extremely pleased to see the Chamber included in lists of the best companies to work for. We've got great people, and such awards as this will support as we recruit more great people in the future. Looking ahead, and the Enterprising Women staged its awards ahead of the next year's big gala dinner to mark its 25th anniversary. The wonderful Jean Mountain, who I know is on this call today, and Jean was actually the founder of this, we're really looking forward to these awards and we'll certainly be the first there to celebrate the occasion. I've returned repeatedly to themes of resilience, decision-making and people in my various speeches and in the columns in the business magazine. And not just the resilience and decision-making of our members, but also how they are impacted by decisions now being made in our external environment. Of course, the role of business is to respond to decisions made by government, and in that regard, the Chamber has been agile and comprehensive. And that is because of the people who contribute so much to the organisation and its culture. I'm proud that one of our business plan objectives is to continually develop our talented people. Our CEO, Scott Knowles, his directors, staff, Our board, headed up by our chair, Ian Morgan, and of course our members, have all had to demonstrate their resilience and good decision making this year. I thank you all for your support, hard work, and of course the good humour that we've had, because it's made a huge difference for me and the organisation. I'm so proud to report that we have raised 12,000 for my chosen charities this year. This is 4 times as much as our previous personal best, and this reflects not just our staff and members, but the generosity and the commitment that goes into this region. I chose 2021's 3 charities carefully to reflect not just the geography of the East Midlands, but also the wide range of good work being done here every single day. As I described in my speech at the Leicester Business Awards a couple of weeks ago, that was a really good event, another really great event. Being able to build community and charitable time into business was one of the genuine reasons why I set up my own company. So with that in mind, it's great to have the Chamber embraced this too. And we can today virtually present 4,000 to each charity. And these charities are Help the Homeless in Leicester, sorry Arif, Nottingham Hospice and Chesterfield Samaritans. So Arif, Jane and Rachel, who head this up, thank you to you and your teams for the incredible work that you do and continue to do to make a difference to so many across our region. Round of applause. So looking forward, the Chamber will remain central to helping its members overcome the challenges of economic recovery and capitalise on the opportunities in store for the region and for the country. Importantly, this year has reinforced my view that the Chamber team and the people, the experience and skills and everything they do for you, our members. As I have described, so much has been done, but significant challenges remain in our external environment. And that's just the known unknowns. The Levelling Up White Paper, now expected in the new year, is one, but there's also capitalising on whatever the region can gain from integrated rail plan plus net zero. Meanwhile, Brexit, again, as identified by Dawn here last year, continues to be hugely significant, yet is currently on the back burner almost everywhere. The Chamber continues to monitor this closely as we support the international ambitions of our members. The reason Brexit has fallen down on the news agenda is obvious to us all, and the government's response to future variants is another fundamental consideration for 2022 and for so many of our businesses. So there's so much to consider for next year, but as I've described, we have the right people to consider it and to lead this Chamber forward. We also have the right person to do it as our future president. Lindsey Williams, Group Chief Executive of Futures Housing Group. So ladies and gentlemen, my final official duty as your president, I'm delighted to announce that the board has appointed my board colleague, Lindsey Williams, as my successor and to be Chamber President for 2021 and 22. For me, and I know to so many, Lindsey is a first-class business leader, and I know that she'll be an incredible president who will bring her own perspective and priorities. Lindsey has promised me to wear some sparkly frocks at the awards next year, but I have to say, Lindsey doesn't need sparkle to shine and to also make a difference. So I shall now do my last task and remove my chains. These are the chains for Leicestershire that I've proudly been wearing, and I'll now hand over the chains to Lindsey Williams, our president. Over to you, Lindsey.
Thank you, Eileen, and good morning, everyone. I'm actually, I'll admit, to being quite nervous this morning, which I think is a mixture of excitement and also anticipation of the year ahead. I was so looking forward to seeing everyone at the Silk Mill in person, but unfortunately we're not able to do that. So I am really delighted to see so many of you on the call today. I'm extremely proud, delighted and honoured to take up the role of President. I've seen the work that the Chamber has done as a board member, as a member from Futures Housing Group and also as a strategic partner. And so I was really honoured to be asked to undertake the role. I know I'm following an amazing president in Eileen, and actually that's quite daunting. I wish she'd done a slightly worse job at being president, because it might have been slightly easier for me to follow on, but she hasn't. She's done an absolutely fantastic job for the Chamber. And so I would like to congratulate you, Eileen, on all the work you've done in the last 12 months. And the funds that you've raised for the charities has been fantastic. You've set a new bar. I think you set out a challenge to triple the amount that was raised during the year, and you've well exceeded that. So I'm not going to try and triple the amount that you've raised. I would hope at least to try and match it during the course of the year. But it's been fantastic for those charities, not just to receive the money, but also to have their profile raised by you. So well done, Eileen. And on behalf of the Chamber, there is a small token of appreciation, I understand, winging its way to you on behalf of the board, the directors and the staff. So Eileen, thank you so much for the work that you've done as president, and also for including me during the year in the work that you've done, which might hopefully stand me in good stead for the year ahead. So thank you. I have a number of duties to perform today, so I'm just going to say what they are. I need to announce the priorities that I've selected for the year ahead, the charities for the year, to install the Vice President and to announce the retiring board members. So firstly, before I do that, I would just like to introduce myself just a bit, and also Futures Housing Group. So I've worked in the East Midlands for nearly 20 years as Chief Exec of Futures Housing Group. You may be able to tell from my accent that actually I'm originally from the West Midlands. So I've come across from the dark side and I'm now in the East Midlands, winging my way up the A38 every day to work. I started my career in housing in the West Midlands and worked for a range of housing organisations. And what captivated me about the housing profession was the balance of social purpose, but also having to apply really good business acumen, so that the breadth and range of services that housing organisations provide can represent ones that truly support the customer, but also are efficient and effective. And so I've always enjoyed bringing together the objectives of businesses, but also with charitable intent. Futures Housing Group plays an important role in the local communities where we work. We own over 10,000 homes in the East Midlands and provide a range of housing and neighbourhood services. And we aim to build about 250 new homes a year. We also jointly own Access Training, which provides training and apprenticeship opportunities within Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire to over 1,000 students a year. And I'm really pleased that I've got some of my colleagues from both my own organisation and Access Training on the call today. So back to the list of things that I've got to do. So firstly, the priorities for the year. I've set two priorities. One is to support the Chamber's objective of strengthening the link between business, communities and a sustainable East Midlands. And the second is to support the region in attracting, developing and retaining great talent within the organisations that we've got in the East Midlands. I'm passionate about people having choice, something that is limited by poverty and lack of opportunity. So I want to ensure that our region has equity of investment compared to the rest of the country, and specifically to promote any company that can have an impact on local communities. A recent survey concluded that 85% of consumers think more positively about companies that give to charity or work in their local communities. And as a local housing provider, I know the positive impact that businesses can have on the communities within which they're placed. There are many benefits: building reputation, raising employee loyalty, and establishing networks. And there's probably now no more important time to be doing this work with local communities, as we see the really negative impact that the communities are suffering in the current pandemic. The Chamber's aim is to get 70% of its members active in the local community. And in a recent survey, that currently stands at about 66%. So I'm hoping during the course of the year, I can support this number to increase by linking businesses to communities, sharing great practice and ideas, and celebrating the work of members. So I would encourage members to engage. And if anyone has any fantastic practices that they're undertaking, I'd be more than happy to chat and showcase them during the course of the year. Also, there are obvious links to the new focus of ESG on environment, sustainability and corporate governance. The Chamber celebrates business in the community and diversity at its Culture and Communities Dinner in March, and that's a fantastic event. So hopefully we'll all be able to meet at that event. Anyone on the call today who is trying to recruit will know just how difficult it is at the moment. Again, a recent survey showed that nearly a third of regional businesses are suffering staff shortages and recruitment issues. I have to commend the Chamber, as Eileen did, on the work that it's been doing with Kickstart, securing over 2,800 placements, and from that, currently over 1,500 jobs have been secured. We are leading nationally on this programme, and it's a fantastic achievement. I wish to continue the priority that Eileen set to focus on future leaders, and I'll be doing that by continuing to advocate for the Chamber's Generation Next. There are currently just over 260 members of Gen Next, and I think it would be a fantastic achievement if we could double that number by the end of next year. With the fantastic year of activities they have planned, I'm sure that is achievable. And I would encourage every organisation to look at your current young leaders, emerging leaders, and those that are rising stars to see whether they should be a member of Gen Next. Now for the charities. In line with a recently established tradition, I'm actually going to select 3 charities, one from each county. Treetops Hospice Care is a leading end-of-life charity, which since 1983 has supported many thousands of local people and their families through the most difficult time of their lives. I'm on a local board of a hospice where I live, and I know how difficult it's been for hospices in the last 2 years. So I'm really pleased to be able to support this organisation. They provide hospice home nurses, wellbeing support, and over 34,000 hours of care. Focus is my second charity. They are a young person's charity in Leicester. They're probably best described by one of their customers, one of their young people who is involved in the charity, who described Focus as a family. It was established in 1988, and through volunteering and community activity, it helps young people aged between the age of 13 and 25 to lead positive lives. And during next year, their specific area of focus is going to be supporting mental health and hopefully helping young people navigate their way through the pandemic. And finally, the final charity is one which I think we'll all appreciate as being important. Nottingham Wildlife Trust. It's the county's leading conservation charity run by local people for the benefit of local wildlife with nature reserves across the county. And for all of us that have been subject to lockdown, we will know how valuable it's been to have really good open spaces to use locally during the last 2 years. So I'm delighted to be able to select these 3 amazing charities, and I hope you will support me during the year in raising as much money as possible. And if we could get slightly over £12,000, that would be amazing, because I am slightly competitive, for those of you that know me. But I'm sure we'll make great efforts to support them. Again, I would like to say how pleased I am to have been asked to be the president, and I look forward to working alongside the Chamber and its members. And I do look forward to seeing you all in person during 2022. So my next duty is to install the Vice President. So you will have heard from Stuart, Chair of Audit and Risk, and Stuart Dawkins has been elected to be the Vice President. And I'm really pleased to be working alongside Stuart as a colleague in 2022. And like Eileen, Stuart, I would really like to include you in the activities that I'm engaged in next year, and I'm sure we'll make a great team. Finally, I'm also required to notify you of retiring board members. We have 3 retiring board members: James Fry, Dr Darren Clark and Dawn Edwards. And you'll know Dawn as a previous president of the Chamber. I believe they're on the call today, and I would really like to thank them on behalf of the board for all the amazing work that they've done. I know we'll certainly miss their contribution during the meetings, and I do wish you really well for the future, and I'm sure you'll continue to support the Chamber, and I look forward to seeing you at future events. So after thanking them, I would finally like to hand back to the chair of the board. But before doing so, I always like to use a quote in any speech that I do. So I do have a quote from a long time ago. And the quote is, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy on not fighting the old, but building the new." And I do think that we need to consider how in current times we can stop trying to get back to the old normal and get to a new normal. And that's what I think 2022 will be. So finally, I will hand you back to the chair of our board, Ian, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lindsay. And all the very best to you during your presidency. You won't need any luck because you're going to be a superb president, and very best of luck in beating Eileen's amazing achievement.
Thank you.
I know that Eileen will be the first one to say, "I hope you do break my record." And thank you, Eileen. You've been a brilliant president as well, as Lindsay said. So item 13 on the agenda is to introduce our guest speaker, and I'd now like to welcome our guest speaker for the day, who is the winner of the Business of the Year Award for Derbyshire. It's David Campbell from Shorescreen Diagnostics Limited. I saw him enter the call, so I'll hand over to you, David.
Hello there. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Hi, everyone. So I've been asked just to give a quick overview of Shorescreen this morning. So I'll see if I can talk you through the. I do have a couple of slides. I'm not sure I can share on my access rights, but I can talk you through no problem with the business. So from a company called Shorescreen, we were founded in 1996 by my father, and we're one of the first companies to manufacture point of care tests. So this is anything from sort of lateral flow tests like you might find in your supermarket with pregnancy tests, right through to drugs of abuse testing at the roadside, and other tests in the hospitals and GPs across the UK and internationally as well. So we've been going since 1996. My father has sort of since retired. He's now sort of busy with different projects, but he does sometimes come in to help us in the lab sometimes when we've got new pieces of kit that he likes to have a look at. Sort of more recently, we've been quite well known for manufacturing COVID-19 tests. So we've been able to develop on our sort of lateral flow platform tests for antibodies and also more recently antigen tests as well. So the antibody testing was was very pivotal at the time, because at the start of the pandemic, a lot of people didn't really have access to the amount of tests that we have now. So it was a case that there were a lot of people that were not being diagnosed, or there was some misdiagnosis diagnosis as well with the PCR testing that was done. So the antibody test that we developed is a finger prick test. It uses a very small amount of blood, and that's applied to the device. You put some buffer solution on that, which chases the blood through the membrane as well, and you get a reaction on the strip very similar to a pregnancy test. And that was looking for two key antibodies, which showed whether your body is having an immune response to contracting the virus. So that was really important in the hospital scenario. We worked very closely with Guys St Thomas's in London to see how that could help their sort of patient pathway through the hospital. So they found that that test was really important to them, being able to use it alongside PCR as to know whether to put somebody on the COVID ward or not. So there were a number of cases where they found that having that test was able to put someone in the right area, which would have stopped the potential spreading in the hospital, which is great. And so we exported that test to around 53 countries around the world, and during that time we worked very hard to increase our capacity in the UK for production as well. And then sort of going on a little bit further, we developed tests for the antigen side of things. So this is whereas the antibody tests will tell you if you've had previous infection. This will tell you if you are infectious at the current time. So this looks for a different protein in the virus, and we collect that by having a shallow nasal swab. So it's only 1.5 centimeters into the nose, which is a lot less invasive than some of the tests out there, and it just takes 10 minutes to get a result, which again is really great. So we went through the validation process in the UK, which is to send samples of testing to Public Health England and report them down for evaluation. And I believe we're still the only British company to have had our test approved by the UK government. So off the back of that, we've been supporting and supplying the UK with tests on the antigen side of things. You may have seen in the news at the moment, it's a quite busy time for us with testing. There's plenty of demand out there in the run up to Christmas, so we're busy getting those out at the moment. We're fortunate to have a couple of sort of famous visitors. We've had sort of Bob Boris visit us, and we've had a number of sort of well-known people use the product, which has been great to have the feedback, as well as people all over the world that have benefited from the test and have sort of told us how it's helped them in their environment as well. So looking forward, we now have one of the best lateral flow manufacturing facilities in Europe, we believe, right here in the Midlands, and we're sort of building on that to build it as a real centre of excellence for lateral flow going into the future. So we have a number of really great research and development projects that we're working on. We're working very closely with local universities as well, and pulling in sort of their experience and collaborating with them in sort of vehicles like KTPs and things like that to make sure that we've got the best things for the future. And one of the products that we're quite close on now, which is going through clinical evaluation, is looking at neutralising antibodies for COVID-19. So this is looking at the quantity of antibodies and the type of antibodies that you need to give you protection. And this is quite a key point, particularly around mutations of the virus, like with Omicron, to be targeting the right things and also the right amount of it, so that people can test themselves with a 10-minute test and understand if they need a booster vaccine going forward, or whether they might be prone to getting infection. So that's something that's ongoing. So finally, I'd just like to thank the Chamber for the recognition at the Chamber Awards. It was a really great evening for myself and the team. It's given everyone a great boost here. So it's very much appreciated. And yes, we'll keep on doing what we're doing, and hopefully sort of improve as we go forward.
Many thanks indeed, David. And I may just say you are a thoroughly deserved winner of the Business of the Year award for Derbyshire. Can I also pick up just what Scott has said in the chat, that we invited the winners of both the Nottinghamshire and the Leicestershire Business of the Year awards to participate in our meeting today. Both unfortunately were unable to attend because they're very busy fulfilling Christmas orders, which I'm sure we can all understand. Okay, can I move now on to item 14, which is the long-standing members presentation. The East Midlands Chamber, as we all know, is first and foremost a membership organisation. We are the voice for business in the East Midlands, and it's important that we represent the views of our members and businesses in the East Midlands. With a growing membership of more than 4,300 businesses, start-up to scale-up, local to global, the Chamber is renowned across the region for enhancing Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire and Leicestershire businesses and communities. Every member is important to us, and our large membership, which is the second largest in the country, gives us the right to be heard and to be taken seriously by local and central government, by civil servants and by non-governmental organisations and decision makers. This also provides us with a revenue stream which gives us the resources to offer a wide range of products and services to our members. For this reason, we take the opportunity at our AGM each year to celebrate, thank and recognise long-standing members. So we will now see a short video of all the names of long-standing members, starting with members celebrating 25 years in Thank you very much, and congratulations to all those. Thank you for your kind remark, Julian, by the way, in the chat. But can I also echo what David Pearson has said in the chat, that thank you very much to all these great businesses for your ongoing support of the Chamber. We certainly don't underestimate this commitment on your part, and we aim to serve each and every one of you. Wise words. Thank you very much indeed, David. All that it leaves me to do now is to hand over to Scott Knowles, our Chief Executive, who is sat opposite me, despite how it might look on the screen. Over to you, Scott.
Thank you, Ian, and great to see so many people here online this morning. What I'm going to do is just give you a quick presentation of what's coming up, what 2022 looks like. So bear with me for 1 second while I go through the awkwardness of trying to share my presentation, which I hope you can all see at this point on screen. Yep. And the slight awkwardness of, there we go, from the beginning. So this will be a very quick whistle-stop tour. So it definitely won't be death by PowerPoint. I thought, first of all, what I ought to remind all of you as our members around is the Chamber's vision. It's been addressed several times, particularly by Eileen and Lindsey today, about the importance of communities. And that's why we changed the Chamber's vision 2 or 3 years ago now, to enhance East Midlands businesses and communities. We recognise that so many of our members have aspirations, whether you call it corporate social responsibility, whether you call it ESG, but actually wishing to support those communities in which they operate, and therefore our vision reflects that. I also thought I ought to just share the Chamber's values. These have been in place now for about 6 years. We don't necessarily shout about them enormously. You can certainly find them on our website and across various sort of media and channels. But I thought, again, bringing that to members' attention would be useful in terms of the context of where we see our ambitions over the next 12 months. Of course, COVID-19 has had an impact on the Chamber, as it has on many businesses. Many of us have had agile working in effect since the summer, and changing government guidance. Unfortunately, it feels like it's going backwards slightly at the moment rather than forwards. And certainly we see our future delivery model being a hybrid, overused term, but certainly many of you tell us that you see value, you see efficiency and productivity in doing things virtually, but you also see the value in coming together at the right time in the right format, and we will certainly continue to deliver services in that way. We have seen a reduction in our membership over the pandemic period by almost 8%. That's about average for the 53 chambers that make up the British Chambers of Commerce network. At the same time, we've seen the number of customers that we work with grow. So whilst we are, as Ian says, very much a membership organisation first and foremost, with more than 4,000 members, we do work concurrently at any one time with 12,000 businesses. One of the biggest challenges for the Chamber as a business, and by extension a challenge for the region, is clearly the impact of Brexit and the pandemic. And sometimes it's difficult to separate the two in terms of our exporting ratios. So we know, and as you know that are exporters, if you're exporting to what we used to call the rest of the world, you need a certificate of origin, and we've obviously seen that decline by about 20% compared to pre-pandemic levels. And again, that seems very much a common sort of number across the Chamber network. So clearly, as a nation and as a region, we're exporting less than we were pre-pandemic. We've launched new business support services, so supporting our market towns, supporting our high streets through things like the Digital High Street project, the growth of our scale up to startup, that's the other way around, isn't it? The startup to scale up portfolio, has been significant. And if anybody on this call wants more information about that, please ask me or one of my Chamber colleagues. And I'd also put on there an impact on the Chamber's property estate. It isn't really a pandemic impact, it's probably accelerated it. Those of you will know in Derby, we have and still own a property on Pride Park, but partway through the pandemic, we decanted our Derby operation to the University of Derby, to the Enterprise Centre where I'm sitting today, mainly because our Derby office has always been entirely populated by customer-facing staff, and subsequently it was mostly empty, and certainly the pandemic and agile working has not made the use of that space any greater. So I'm very proud now to be located alongside the University of Derby, and that's leading to some fantastic collaborations and synergies around future of business support in the area. So don't worry, I won't go through all of these boxes in its entirety. Here's just some metrics around the Chamber as it stands as a business, some of which you've already heard about today. We remain the managing employer for the D2N2 Local Enterprise Partnership, which is a very important relationship. We're also the accountable body for a number of place-making organisations such as Destination Chesterfield, Marketing Peak District in Derbyshire, and Business Peak District, and those relationships are incredibly important. We were delighted through 2021 in the Best Companies Awards, formerly the Times Top 100, to be ranked as 13 as the best business services company to work for in the UK, and 77th of the best companies overall in the Midlands to work for. Here's some more statistics, and again I won't labour these. Things to highlight: the amount of business award applications. So despite the pandemic, challenges of ways of working, clearly you all see a benefit in celebrating business success, and that was recognised in this year's face-to-face business awards. Obviously our profile and media continues to grow all the time, and certainly pay tribute to our marketing and communications team. And probably the only one really to highlight there is customs declarations completed. So for those of you that aren't exporters, being a customs declarations certifier is a new piece of business for the Chamber as a result of the exit from the European Union, where of course now there is a greater administrative burden when exporting to European markets. And of course, I do need to pay tribute in terms of our work on Kickstart. It's already been mentioned previously by both Eileen and Lindsey. And of course, the pace of change is really interesting. You know, these slides were only put together a couple of weeks ago, and already that number of Kickstart placements filled has grown from just over 1,300 to more than 1,500. So significant testament there to our Kickstart team. And again, you know, we've issued more than £1 million worth of digital grants just in the last 12 months, and clearly we recognise the importance of digital transformation, which I'll come on to momentarily. This is just a quick reminder of our business plan objectives, and I don't propose to labour these at all. We can share the slides afterwards, but you can see there those what we would call our business plan goals. Clearly things like strengthening the link between businesses, communities and the sustainable East Midlands, we know that's important, and that will be reflected even greater in the next iteration of our 3-year business plan. I have to say thank you, of course, to our strategic partners and patrons, many of whom are on this call. Without your significant support, much of the activity that we do around showcasing, around celebrating our cultures, our diversity, our business success, we would not be able to do without your support. So please accept my thanks for your unwavering support across the pandemic period. It is, of course, greatly appreciated. You might wonder, as Chief Executive of an organisation, what it is I and senior leaders in the business do all day. It's clearly a question I think most staff ask on a weekly basis, but this was just to give you an idea the Chamber, we sit on more than 120 groups, fora, committees, investment panels, and of course it's all about representing your voice, your wishes, and articulating what the barriers to business growth are. And of course the outcome for all of this is about providing bespoke, tailored business support or applying influence to make sure that the East Midlands continues to strive to get the level of investment that it truly deserves. So a little bit of fun with this slide. It's my favourite slide, and the reason it's my favourite slide is, of course, you can play the game of who still has the job that they had when we engaged with them. And of course, the answer for the most part is very few. But the reason this slide is important, and this again is just a selection, the sharp, eagle-eyed amongst you might wonder why Michael Gove is pulling a face on that slide. Actually, it's very difficult to actually find a photograph of him without him pulling a face. But flippancy aside, what this is about the Chamber bringing key decision makers from London, whether it's ministers, senior civil servants, department heads, to the East Midlands to obviously showcase what we're doing and try and influence those future investment decisions that are made centrally. So what's next for the Chamber? What does 2022 look like? Well, it absolutely is about investment. Stuart talked earlier, obviously, about the Chamber's finances. The board has now signed off on a ambitious investment strategy. This is about evolving the membership offer. It's about providing you with products and services you say you need, whether it's sustainability framework products, whether it's products around how you meet your ESG aspirations. Again, it's been mentioned several times, it is about Generation Next. So how do we have a network that harnesses the talent we have locally and actually retains that talent locally? Our Director of Resources, who's on this call, Lucy Robinson, leads our Generation Next activity. I am reminded almost daily I'm not allowed to participate, but clearly we see this as being the future of membership and clearly a cornerstone of the Chamber's offer going forward. Skills, we recognise from the work we do around our quarterly economic survey, skills is hugely problematic. We know there's a huge paucity of resource at the moment. Businesses, members, customers, all struggling to get the right skills, to get the right volume of skills. And the Chamber really proud that we were successful in securing what the Department for Education is calling a local skills improvement plan trailblazer. There are only 8 in the UK, and we're delivering this in Leicester and Leicestershire currently. My colleague Chris Hobson is leading that. And this piece of work, really important. This is about changing how skills in the future will be commissioned. And it will be much more employer-led, employer-informed, and co-authored with employers. So that's a very important piece of work. Community Renewal Fund, really pleased that the Chamber secured 4 successful bids to deliver Community Renewal Fund support. This is part of our portfolio of economic recovery support. And we're currently in the process of just starting to mobilise on an expenditure of around £5.3 million, all of which has to be committed by the end of June next year. So you will see and hear much more about that even before the festive break. The reason that's really important is we absolutely have to influence what this mythical term, Shared Prosperity Fund, which will be UK PLC's replacement for European funds. European funds, of course, been very important to the East Midlands as a region, while the UK was a member of the EU, both from a public realm, from a capital expenditure and a business support perspective. So that's absolutely key for us. The other key part of our investment strategy is about digital transformation and how we improve the user experience. We're working with our partners, Purpose Media, one of our strategic partners, to redevelop and redesign a brand new Chamber website, which will launch over the next 6 months. And of course, we're exploring all other aspects of how we transform ourselves to make sure that you can get access to the support absolutely when you need it, and not necessarily being confined to what we might call traditional office hours. As well as being first and foremost a membership organisation, we are absolutely a representation organisation, and we are your voice in Whitehall, Westminster, regionally and locally. And clearly these are some of the topics which are absolutely hot at the moment, which are vexing many of you. And we have to absolutely stay relevant, make sure your voice is heard, and make sure that we get positive outcomes, whether it's improving how global trade currently works, whether it's helping you meet your own journey to net zero aspirations, whether it's influencing things like the Levelling Up White Paper and supporting activities such as the East Midlands Development Corporation and the Freeport located at East Midlands Airport. And therefore, this is what's next. This is what 2022 certainly looks like in terms of headlines. It is about levelling up. It's about making sure as an area we get that high level of investment that we know we deserve, and making sure that it's shaped accordingly and it has the greatest impact on the greatest number of businesses and individuals. I've already mentioned Generation Next. I've mentioned the Shared Prosperity Fund, and we've mentioned the importance of Kickstart just as a number of schemes and development. And of course, that key message around digital transformation, not just important for the Chamber, clearly important for all of you as members as well. And of course, I'd be castigated by various members of the team if I didn't use this as an opportunity to give a cheap plug for some of our planned upcoming activities in 2022. Don't worry, you don't need to write them down. I will make sure these obviously get to you in due course, and we share these slides. So that was my wrap-up presentation. I hope that was useful for everybody to see that as a snapshot. I won't propose to keep you any longer. I would, of course, like to thank Eileen for her year as president and her unwavering support, not just to the Chamber, but everything Eileen does in terms of her extracurricular activities, as well as clearly leading a very growing and thriving recruitment business as well. Clearly like to say thank you to Lindsey for volunteering to become our next president, and clearly we look forward to working with you, Lindsey, over the next 12 months. I of course want to pay tribute to Darren, to James and to Dawn for their support over the last 10 years, well 9 years, but nearly 10 years. Again, giving great swaths of their own time up to support the Chamber, to support the members and our strategic direction. Absolutely, you've been incredibly supportive to me and the team, and we wouldn't be in such a good position without your sage counsel and your support. And of course, I should thank the Chamber team, of course, for their unwavering efforts as well, to make sure that we support as many businesses as possible through what is a challenging time. All that remains for me to say, of course, is for you to have a great Christmas and New Year. I hope it's a relaxing break. I suspect everybody on this call is looking forward to a little bit of downtime, but we look forward to a prosperous and a thriving 2022. So thanks all for your time and your attention this morning. I hope that's been useful, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon in the new year. So thank you all.
Thank you.